So since all of you have presented a bit about yourself and I've gotten to learn a little about you, I thought it only fair if I do the same. Now you might be saying, well, it's not entirely fair because I'm not in front of a camera, whereas you were, but oh well, I didn't have to do this at all, and I am, So I've entitled mine About Me here, there, and other places because I travel a good amount. So we're just going to start here in the US because that's where we are, and we're going to start even more so here in Texas. You can see a picture of Waste there. And that's not just because that's where I'm working, but it's also because that's where I went to school as well. I also graduated from WACE and was one of the first graduating classes after it reopened. On the left you can see myself graduating both from University of Houston as well as from Rice University. I have an undergrad in psychology focusing on children and adolescents and a minor in studio art, mostly charcoal, which I still do a little bit here and there. And then below at Rice, which I should have made that a bit bigger, but oh well, where I have a master's in science teaching. I've been to a lot of other parts of the US as well. I didn't want to focus on all of them, but I wanted to draw a special focus on California because I've done some student programs there, including getting to visit Adobe, as well as going to Facebook itself. And on the bottom you have Paul there, who is actually the guy who made the like button, which was pretty cool. Paul's not actually there anymore. He ended up finding a new opportunity this past year, but I got to meet Paul on a couple occasions. Not only is this cool because of my position involving technology, but I've always been involved in design and technology even before this position. So even though my degree is in like psychology and studio art, I started teaching myself like Adobe products and photography, digital editing of photography, stuff like that. Back when I was in high school, back when I was around your age, and we didn't have classes like that. We had classes like let's learn PowerPoint or let's learn Word, and they were really boring for anybody who knew anything about computers. So I've been using some of this stuff for a long time, so it was really cool to actually get to meet some of these people in the tech field. And these were just a couple. I got to meet people from EA and other companies as well. It was really cool. And I've also been outside of the US on the American continent. I've been to both Mexico, which you can see on the right, and then on the left we have Costa Rica, one of our student sea turtle trips that we took a couple years ago. I just recently went to Europe. A lot of people are surprised when they find out I hadn't been to Europe before many other places. But I finally made it, and I went to Greece and Italy. These are both pictures of Greece here. So we have Athens on the right, which I thought I would like more, but I don't really. That's okay. I mean, it was alright. It was alright. And then I have Delphi on the left, or rather a view from Delphi. And Delphi was probably my favorite area that we visited. I don't have any in Italy in here because I didn't really care for Italy as much as I thought I would. I was worried I wasn't going to like Greece, but I ended up not being as impressed by Italy. I've been to the Middle East, to Bahrain and Qatar. We have one of the historical sites on the left from Bahrain, and a cityscape from Doha, which is part of Qatar, on the right. It was really cool going to Bahrain and Qatar. We actually went with a group of educators from primary up through university level, and we got to speak with both some of their educators, but some of their lawmakers and government officials and business officials as well, which was really interesting, which included the Minister of Education, which was pretty cool. I've also been to China, which you can see here. I didn't expect to go to China right away. I'd always hoped on going to Japan, but Japan's a lot more expensive. We were actually able to take a pretty big group of students a couple years back to China, and it was a really cool experience. We got to see some of the major sites that you would expect, like Beijing and Shanghai and Hong Kong, but a few other lesser known areas, like Xi'an, which was one of the ancient capitals, as well as a couple of the water towns near Shanghai. Australia, I could have filled this whole thing with just stuff from Australia. I've been to Australia several times, taken students a couple times. If I were to move somewhere, that's where it would be. I've been up and down the East Coast, pretty much all of it, as well as their capital territory, which I want to say is somewhere around here, something like that, and Darwin, which is going to be somewhere up here. A little bit of a zoom in just to see the little fish on the left. Actually, it's a big fish on the left, and a baby kangaroo on the right. Well, adolescent kangaroo on the right. So I was gonna go to Japan this summer. I was gonna go as actually part of an IB training, and it didn't work out. So instead, I went to Africa, which was cool because I hadn't been to Africa yet. One of the last continents I haven't visited, and so that was a really cool experience. It wasn't really any sort of like special situation. It just happened to fit in the dates and fit within the budget, and so went to Africa, specifically Kenya, as you can see. And the last inhabited continent is South America, which I haven't been to yet, but I'll be going to Galapagos this summer and taking a group of students as well. So that should be pretty cool. I had thought about putting a picture here, but I didn't because all of the other pictures were taken by me, except for the ones that were actually of me, obviously. Yeah, so I didn't want to spoil it here by finding an image off of Google. But go look up the Galapagos. You can find different sea turtles and penguins that live there and all sorts of seals and other wildlife. So that's a bit about me and where I've been.